Let's first start off talking about the basics of NetFlow, what flow is, and how we can leverage it to gain more security of our network. First, let's start off talking about what flow is. For this discussion, I'm going to be referencing a Layer 3 router for my examples, but just know that other devices, such as Firewall, Cisco AnyConnect, and Layer 3 switches can all be capable to capture flow. Simply put, flow is a record of the information that traverses a router. At a minimum, the source and destination IP addresses and ports, as well as the IP protocol, are captured. These 5 items, often referred to as a 5-tuple, are similar to the way that phone records can show which phone number called who and at what time. The flow does not have any of the payload that was passed in the traffic. Rather, it is just the 5-tuple information. For the record, today's flow captures more information than just the 5-tuple, but for this introductory discussion, let's keep it simple and talk only about the source and destination IP addresses, source and destination ports, and the protocol. So, if a client at, say, 172.20.18.5 connects to a server at 172.20.100.100 over HTTPS, which uses TCP port 443, then here's what the flow will look like. It will contain the source and destination IPs, the source port, which in this case would be a random source port, as well as the destination port of 443, and then the protocol of TCP. And the storage of this information is called a flow record. So now that you know what a flow is and what a flow record is, what types of flow are there? Well, as you might infer by the name of this module, NetFlow is one of them, and will be the primary focus of this module's discussion. NetFlow was created by Cisco and is one of the most commonly used types of flow. The NetFlow records are stored in a database on the router, which is often referred to as a NetFlow cache. Since NetFlow records don't include the payload itself, they don't take up very much space in order to store these records. All they are is a receipt of the type of traffic that traversed the network. So back to our example of the client at 172.20.18.5 connecting to a server at 172.20.100.100 over HTTPS. All of the return traffic from the server to the client is not part of the same flow. Even though that traffic is part of the same session, flows are unidirectional. This means that the return traffic will have its own flow generated. It would look like this. The source IP address would be the server's IP of 172.20.100.100. The destination IP would be the client's IP address of 172.20.18.5. The source port in this NetFlow record would be 443. The destination port would be the client's original source port, which is 62.453, and the protocol again would be TCP. So as more information is gathered, it can then be sent to an application such as Cisco StealthWatch for analytics to be performed. Since NetFlow can be enabled on most pre-existing devices, you can quickly configure it in order to gain insight on the traffic that is all throughout your network. For example, you can configure NetFlow on user-connected ports so you can observe the business needs of various departments, or if any user is breaching company policy. Enabling NetFlow in the data center will provide insight into east-west traffic that is traditionally hard to monitor and verify. NetFlow can be configured on both site-to-site and remote access VPNs, so you can view that traffic as well. Of course, it would be wise to configure NetFlow at the internet edge, so that way you have visibility into what traffic is leaving the network, as well as trying to enter it. We will discuss enabling NetFlow later in this module. And the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is whether or not you want to sample the traffic that is being collected. This means that not every packet that traverses a network will have flow generated for it. Rather, you can specify a sampling rate such as 1 out of every 10 packets or 1 out of every 100. While this does reduce the load on the device collecting NetFlow, it could also allow for important packets to be missed. We will dive into the benefits of NetFlow in the next clip, but I wanted to point out that by sampling the flow, you could negate some of those benefits if not all of the packets are captured.